Supergirl is already the most hated movie of 2026. This is not a review of how attractive I find Milly Alcock. This is not a review saying this movie would have been a 10 out of 10 if it took place in the Zack Snyder DC cinematic universe. This is a review of the second entry in James Gunn's new DC universe. And last year's Superman movie kind of divided audiences. I feel like half the people I talk to say it's one of the best superhero movies to come out in the past 10 years. And then the other half thought it was absolutely embarrassing. For me, I thought it was like a pretty good movie, like a solid 6 out of 10. There were a lot of things I really liked about it, but it still didn't feel like the strongest thing to start off a DC cinematic universe with. But when Supergirl showed up at the end of Superman, I was already sold. I loved Milly Alcock's performance on House of the Dragon when she was in the first season. She was one of the highlights of the show for me. Those 45 seconds were all I needed. And then a few weeks after Superman came out, James Gunn decided to tweet this. Ah, shit, my fault. I accidentally put in the wrong James Gunn tweet. God, I hate when that happens. He tweeted the first poster of Supergirl a few weeks after Superman came out, and it just felt like we were building some momentum into the hype for Supergirl. It was easily one of my most anticipated summer movies of the year until the first trailer came out. And I don't really watch trailers, but of course, like, you'll see 10 seconds of something here and there, and the 10 seconds I saw, I was like, oh my God, this looks pretty bad. This is based on a comic called World of Tomorrow that has been praised as one of the better comics to come out in the last 10 years. I don't read comic books. I just watch movies, talk about movies, make movies. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I tend to tell the truth on here, and that's why I sometimes get invited to early press screenings. The problem is if I keep telling the truth, they might stop inviting me at some point because I cannot be bought. I went into this with pretty low expectations, and my low expectations were still not met. This is not a good movie. This is not a fun movie. And worst of all, this is a very bad look of a movie. And if you think this is one of those channels that is going to hate on the film because Supergirl isn't being played by Sydney Sweeney, this is the wrong channel for you, my guy. Because those YouTube channels have been making a lot of money over the past year over Milly Alcock being Supergirl. And I gotta say, the amount of hideous looking men that have been making fun of the aesthetics of her face is actually hilarious. Because the channels that are doing this, they fall into one of two categories. They are either men that currently have no love in their life, or they are men that have a partner of some kind. I have seen the pictures. I have the receipts. And my channel is not about reviewing the looks of women. That's not my job. But it is the job of these men. So what I think they should do, they should put their wives into skin-tight Supergirl outfits for this upcoming Halloween and just post it online. It will be the scariest costume in the cul-de-sac this year. And if you care about your wife at all, which is highly debatable, you wouldn't even give her a 10th of the things you are saying about this girl online. It is ridiculous. If I had the confidence of some of these YouTube channels, I would be sailing. Unfortunately, I have the self-awareness to know I shouldn't be within 100 feet of one of these superhero movie sets. And that goes in terms of my looks and my taste in cinema. Because I talk about movies on this YouTube channel, and if we're talking about the movie Supergirl, it sucks. It's not the worst movie I've seen this year, but it's far from one of the better ones. And maybe the worst thing about it is how damaging it is to this entire James Gunn DC universe. Maybe this is a hot take. When you are trying to build out not only a franchise, but an entire interlinked universe of stories that is costing you hundreds of millions of dollars to make, the first 3 to 5 projects in this universe have to be great. Not solid, not decent, not good enough. They have to be great. And I could already see the argument you're trying to make in the comments section. Have you seen the first phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Stuff like Iron Man 2 and Thor, those weren't really that good. And I agree with you, but they didn't have to be at that time because there was no pressure on building an entire established cinematic universe yet. Marvel didn't really take off until after the first Avengers movie. They are the ones that started this entire obsession with the idea of creating these universes, and they're the only ones that have pulled it off to a successful level. Nobody has been able to catch up with them. DC has tried like 3 times now. And if you are not Marvel, who is in their own right kind of concerned about their own brand right now, but at least they have a new Spider-Man and Avengers movie that are getting a lot of hype right now. A lot of people are interested in them. You need stuff that can match up to that toe to toe. Supergirl was never going to make as much money as Spider-Man or Avengers Doomsday. And I know it's a lot of pressure to make Supergirl a better movie than those two movies, but you have no other choice. When you decide that this is going to be the second movie in your cinematic universe, you have to hit nothing but home runs. I'm not even asking for a grand slam here, but you need to get on base immediately, because whether you like it or not, when you took this job, your job was to catch up to Marvel. And that means Superman and Supergirl have to at least be on par with the upcoming Marvel movies. And in an ideal world, they should be better movies. We should be able to look at Supergirl and Spider-Man Brand New Day and be like, man, Spider-Man was really good, but it was not as good as Supergirl. I haven't seen Spider-Man Brand New Day. I haven't seen Avengers Doomsday, but I would bet my entire fucking checking account right now that neither of those movies are going to be as boring as this one. Making a movie that is good enough is not good enough when you are trying to make an audience buy into your entire expanded franchise. And Supergirl isn't even good enough. It's just bad. And ironically, the person that is at least to blame for this entire thing going wrong is Milly Alcock as Supergirl. I think her performance of this Kryptonian that is pretty much the complete opposite of her cousin, like, she's still a good guy, but she's not really a hero. She has no interest in being a hero. She has an interest in being an alcoholic and partying. And as someone that was once 23, I could understand where she's coming from. That sounds like an experience I have lived through. And I think Alcock's performance of that persona is really strong. But the movie gives her this Ant-Man effect, which is something I am patenting right now, where you have a superhero that is awesome at being the number 2 in a movie. Like James Gunn confirmed, she's going to be a big part of Man of Tomorrow, which is the next Superman sequel coming out next year. And I do think she will be great in that, just like how Ant-Man was great in Captain America Civil War. But when you put them in their own movie, they just feel like they belong on the sidelines. But the weird thing about it is, like, Ant-Man got 3 tries, and all 3 I was like, yeah, I'm not vibing with any of these movies. But when you watch the Supergirl movie, you could see that there is a movie in here that is worth telling and is worthy of the character getting their own movie. She just never gets the chance to prove that because the writing is abysmal. Ana Nogueira was chosen as the writer for this. I'm sorry if I'm having trouble saying your name. I've never heard of you, and neither has anybody in the world of screenwriting, because she has never written a feature-length film before. All she has done are 2 plays for Broadway, starred in Hamilton, and directed a short film. I cannot find any information on why James Gunn gave her the job to not only write this, but also the new Teen Titans and Wonder Woman movie. What are we doing here? I don't get it. Were you friends? Are you fucking? Does Anna have even more tweets about James Gunn that I don't know about? I just don't understand it, man. I don't get how these people who have no experience whatsoever get the chance to write some of the biggest movies of the entire year. Do I get to just become friends with James Gunn and then get the chance to write Joker 3? Because I'm not that great at writing, but I don't think that's a consideration anymore. And the reason I was actually starting to believe and have faith in this universe was because James Gunn was very big on, if the screenplay wasn't ready, we're not making the movie. Like, the screenplay had to be great before a movie got greenlit. And that is something I could respect. The problem with that is when you put out a movie like this, how bad are the other screenplays, James? Like, I refuse to believe that movie, The Authority, that got quietly canceled, there's just no way in hell the script was a lot worse than this. I just don't believe it. And maybe there's an argument where the screenplay wasn't the worst thing about it, because when you watch the movie itself, you could tell there are certain beats being hit, and you're like, man, this should be really effective. Like, there's an outline of a great story, and that outline is probably the comic book that they're copying. And that's the tough part about reviewing movies, because you never actually know who the real problem is. Sometimes when you watch a movie, it's very clear, like, oh, this performance is terrible, or the visual effects look awful, or just the dialogue is terrible. When it comes to watching this movie, you really can't tell. Part of it feels like it could be the writing, part of it feels like it could be the directing, and other parts feel like it could be the editing. But we're not getting off this writing case, because the dialogue here is really bad. Everyone has their own interpretation of how to tell if dialogue is is good or not. My litmus test is if I can see a scene playing out and in my head go, oh, this is what the next line is going to be. And if I get it 100% right, it's bad writing because it's something you have seen a million times before. And to Supergirl's credit, I didn't get a line 100% right, but the whole point of this movie is Supergirl and this young girl have to team up for a mission, and they are given a timeline of how long this mission is probably going to take. And they're asking this alien about it, and I'm in my head like, oh, it's gonna take 3 days to get this thing. And to the movie's credit, they didn't say 3 days. They said they needed 3 sundowns or 3 moonrises, whatever the fuck they said. So I got the line 99% right. When Love Island has impressed me more this year with its writing, you know you have a serious issue. But it's not all on the brand new writer, because we also have Craig Gillespie directing, who has a solid track record when it comes to his filmography. And I have to say what every other review has said about this movie, and that's that this movie feels like a discount Guardians of the Galaxy in so many ways. Everyone's talking about how visually it looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about it even has one of those jokes where the character like has their hand in their pocket and they're like, oh wait, I got this. What is this? It's like, really? We're doing the middle finger joke again? I have no idea how much I could actually blame Craig for this and how much I should be blaming James Gunn, because he is a producer on the movie. He is one of the 2 heads of the studio. It feels like a James Gunn-ish movie in every single dimension. And it's one of those things you never really know who's in control of the movie. Like, Kevin Feige is technically the guy in charge of all those Marvel movies, even though they have directors. There's no telling if James Gunn is also treating these directors that way. I know his big thing was he wanted to bring in different directors with different visions so he could have all these different kinds of DC movies. But to me, Supergirl to Superman is what a lot of the other DCEU movies felt like to the Zack Snyder movies. It just felt like the Aquamans and the Flashes, they all had the style of Zack Snyder without Zack Snyder actually being the director behind it. But even those copycats of Zack Snyder's movies felt like they had more style than this. Supergirl just feels like the most flavorless superhero movie that we have seen so many times over the past few years. Not even years, decades at this point. This feels like a movie that should have came out in like 2016 or 2017. It just feels like not a single person behind the scenes has any sort of passion about telling this story. Like, even though I didn't love last year's Superman, it still felt like James Gunn was making a movie he really wanted to make. There were just a handful of really good moments, action, humor, and music, which Supergirl does not excel at all. I don't think the music in terms of both the score or the soundtrack even sniff the Superman stuff from last year. And some of the needle drops, I don't want to spoil them. And there's a couple where I'm like, that one's not that bad. But there are a few in action set pieces where I'm like, oh my God, this is just as lame as it gets. And speaking about as lame as it gets, let's talk about the villain of the movie, Krem, who looks nothing like the guy from the comic book, apparently. I don't know why they made this decision. I guess the only way for these people to make a scarier villain is to give them piercings. This was one of those times after seeing the movie, I had to do research online because I was like, is this just a goofy portrayal of a good villain, or is this just a bad villain all around? And the best argument I could find was on Reddit from a guy named _wizard_penguin, who claims, I think he's a good villain because he's kind of intentionally not compelling, if that makes sense. To me, it makes sense if we're talking about him being a shitty fucking villain. He's just the most cliche, basic, evil, super boring bad guy. And they make him do some pretty evil things. Like, one of the beats in the movie where I was surprised by, I was like, oh shit, I can't believe the movie went there. But the filmmaking is just so lackluster around those events that the impact, you don't have time to digest it. It just happens and there's no feeling in any of this movie. I just thought if we were going through all this effort to make an entire new universe, like, we would learn from the mistakes of Marvel. And one of the big mistakes Marvel has gone through is, besides like the big Avengers movies, a lot of the villains have been lacking in all of the standalone movies. And Superman had some like pretty solid villains, like Lex Luthor from Nicholas Hoult is awesome. And instead, we get the most forgettable guy of all time in this role. We also have Eve Ridley, who plays the young teenager in this movie. I know people are not big on criticizing child actors, so in honor of that, I won't criticize what I think was wrong with her performance, and I'll actually praise the things I like about her. And that's that we actually share the same birthday, and that is not me making a joke. And that is the only thing I liked about her performance. There are a few small moments I like in the movie, like Supergirl playing fetch with Crypto in space is like a 5-second thing. I thought that was cool. I think the entire Krypton sequence, without getting into it, was also pretty good. Like, it's probably the best part of the movie. I wasn't like blown away by it. I think the Zack Snyder Krypton stuff is way better. But in a movie that's just boring the entire time, I was like, okay, like they're at least trying something here. I'm still not going to get into spoilers, but they do something interesting with kryptonite in the third act of the movie where I didn't even think that was a thing. And I was like, holy shit, that's actually pretty cool. I like how this movie is short, even though it doesn't feel short. This movie's like an hour and 38 minutes, and it feels like 2.5 hours. I hate when a movie's like that. In terms of other things I liked, Jason Momoa is fun as Lobo. You can tell he's having a great time since him and John Cena are the only two still on DC's payroll from the last universe. He's not someone where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see this guy in more DC movies, but like, he's fine. I'm sure his outfit is comic accurate, but every time I saw like his makeup, it just felt like I was watching a cosplayer on screen. So that aspect of it, I did not love. Who is this movie for? I don't know. I want to say it's for young girls to be inspired, but the movie's also kind of sadistic. Like, there's some dark shit in this movie where I would never recommend it to like an 8-year-old girl. I feel like she'd be terrified. I had a guy sitting next to me, and when Superman came on screen, he asked his friend, who is that? And I thought he was joking, so I kind of chuckled, but his friend dead ass looked at him and said, oh, that's Superman. And it's not like we're looking at Clark Kent here. We're looking at Superman. And to his credit, when the movie ended, that guy seemed to like the movie. So I guess it's for somebody. For him, maybe it was like an 8 out of 10. A great time at the theater. For me, let's cut it in half. We're at a 4 out of 10. It's probably closer to a 3 than a 5, but at the same time, I probably like this more than Mandalorian and Grogu. Just one of the bigger disappointments of the year for me. I really did have a lot of faith when they announced it a year ago. I was so excited for this movie, and it just seems like the entire thing went downhill. If you want to hear more of my honest thoughts on movies coming out this year, be sure to subscribe. I am making videos talking about movies until I make movies of my own, and I can't get there without the help of you guys. So I'll keep working on my craft. I'll keep working on these videos in the meantime. But if you want to join the journey, I would love to have you, especially if it seems like we would get along. If you think watching this video, we could go to the local dive bar, grab a beer, have a great talk for 2 hours and laugh a lot, this channel's for you. You are for me. Be sure to subscribe, follow the journey, and I guess that's it. So this is Chase. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.